Greetings, Galactic Jedis. How is everyone doing out there? I am so excited. I hope you guys are all doing wonderful. It is Saturday night, March the 9th. I had to bring myself back into the 3D to remember the date. It is March the 9th, 2024, right? AD to be specific. My name is Ismael Perez. I am the author of Our Cosmic Origin, a book that restores cosmic and galactic information back to the Earth. I am also now an online professor, and I'm only taking 10 students at a time, so it can be intimate and personal. I am working on releasing my second book, The Secret Government. It's going to be coming out soon, revealing the entire suppressed history of the Brotherhoods. Now, a little bit about myself. I always like to reveal two things about myself right before I start my life. But before I do so, today's topic is the Great Solar Flash and the upcoming solar cycle. So that is a phenomena that is, just circulating within our community. Even though that there are some controversial opponents against the idea that there will be no solar flash, I actually am going to share some evidence that the Great Solar Flash is something that actually has occurred in ancient times. Okay, so there is ample evidence that this event that we are expecting now at the end of the cycle is a recurrent event. And I'm also going to approach it from a scientific perspective, reading some scientific papers regarding the 11-year solar cycle, solar maximum and solar minimum, and what that entails in today's times that we are living in. Now, before I get into the subject, I want to first thank each and every single one of you guys for being here, all 352 who are in the house right now. Thank you guys for being here. And then one thing about myself that I haven't shared with you guys is that I am, let's see, now I wrote it down. Oh, before I share something about myself. Oh, yes, today's history. Today is the 9th, March 24. You see what I mean, guys? I'm like quantum jumping in all these different timelines. But I do want to relate what happened today in 1916 on this very day when the Mexican army, under the leadership of Pancho Villa, led an attack against Columbus. This is where they fought against their independency, right? When they were trying to take over the Mexican territory. Mexico also decided to declare their own independency. And then during the First World War, Germany declared war on Portugal. That's a different thing on this very day. In 1933, Congress called in special session by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. So that is events that had occurred on this very day in the past. So a little bit about myself is that I love animals, believe it or not. I love cats. I love dogs. I love, trees. I know trees aren't animals, but I have an affinity for animals. Okay. When I was younger, I used to watch National Geography. Is it called Geography? Yeah, National Geography. When they showed those long segments on mountain lions, the African Sahara and the different animals. I used to love watching that as a kid. Another thing about me is that I like to research a lot. Obviously, I'm still reading tons of books. If I'm not busy working on a script, doing a live or an interview, or writing my own book, I'm actually researching and reading other books. So I am an avid student in the forever, eternal realm of knowledge and learning. So my cup is always empty. I'm always willing to learn more. I don't know everything. And I am just like each and every single one of you. I am thirsty, hungry to understand the truth. All right. So that's two things about myself. And also, I just wanted to remind you guys that if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe and share if you can, please. And also hit the like button while you're at it. Upcoming events. Oh, yeah, my website's been out for a week. And I only have a few openings left for my 3 o'clock course that starts next Wednesday. Again, guys, next Wednesday, my 10 o'clock course is booked. I have, I think, 3 or 4 spots left for my 3 o'clock course next Wednesday. So if you guys want to take my class, it does consist of 4 weeks, 4 sessions. Each one is going to be about 2 hours. A lot of information, a lot of data. It's going to be mind blown. Make sure you guys take notes. It's going to be interactive. That's why I'm only keeping the classes now with 10 individuals at a time, as opposed to 80 or 100, which was something that wasn't really working out for me in the Mystic Arts, because not everybody had an opportunity to get their questions answered or interact with me on the Zoom. What else? Oh, yes. I apologize for not releasing my transmissions with the Blue Avians. We're still working on that. So as soon as that is done, I'm going to go ahead and post that for you guys to hear what the transmission is all about. The Blue Avians, whose original name was the Carians. Anything else before I get into the juicy subject? I guess that is all. Okay, so let's get into the subject. But before I do, I want to acknowledge a few of you. Maggie Hill is in the house. Melissa by Design is in the house. Bob Morehouse is in the house. Tina Petronzio is in the house. Simone S is in the house. Let's see. Joanna is in the house. Christina Rose is in the house. Mary Jin G is in the house. Ricky Lee. Who else is in the house? Shakina Glory 1111. Lee Star is in the house. Chastine Rose is in the house. And Sylvia Vidal is in the house. Maggie Hill is in the house. James Sullivan is in the house. Pleiadian Soul 133 is in the house. Nature Boy 369 and everyone else that is in the house. Almost 600 people now. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you guys are having a good weekend. Strong CMEs have been hitting us lately. I don't know if you guys have been feeling it, but the ascension symptoms are ramping up. All right. If you feel tired throughout the day, this actually goes hand in hand with what I'm about to share as we get closer to that big one that is coming, I believe, at the end or the beginning of April. We are expecting something big, which beautifully corresponds with the solar eclipse and the end of the 11-year cycle, where our sun also is getting ready to flip its poles. But also, due to the fact that we're ending another cycle, right? I believe it's a 286,000 year cycle. Do you guys know what happened 280,000 years approximate or so here on this planet? There was a sun, the sun transformed from a red star, right, into an orange star. Well, now, 280,000 years later, it's also going through another upgrade. Just as we are becoming upgraded, our sun is also going through its phases of upgrades. It's about to become a white sun, which is going to be amazing, ushering in the golden age of enlightenment. Thank you so much for the love as I'm reading the chat here. I do get to Q&A at the end of the subject, so make sure you guys post or type in your questions in capital letters so that I could bypass the chat. And with that have said, okay, so we already went over today in history. Now, before I get into the ancient prophecies regarding how the Great Solar Flash is not only recorded in all the ancient manuscripts with sufficient evidence from the fossil records, that's great civilizations depicted how a blast or a strong flare, similar to what they call a Carrington effect, wiped out those civilizations in times immemorial. All right, history repeats itself. Now, the only difference now is, according to the prophecies, is since we are in the lowest state, right? We fell from density, right? Not just ourselves, but also our planet. This time, it's going to catapult our planet back into the original density in which she existed in dimensions 4, 5, and 6. So that's the difference now between the Great Solar Flash that is upon us and the events of the Great Solar Flash that have happened in the past. So before we get to the ancient manuscripts that depicted and recorded what happened to their civilizations, Let's talk about what science is now saying about solar maximum, and the difference between what solar maximum and solar minimum is. So we're expecting solar maximum anytime between now and 2025. Okay, so solar maximum could hit us harder and sooner than we thought. The sun is quickly approaching a major peak in solar activity. Experts warn it could potentially begin the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024 as to why all these CMEs are ramping up, right? Okay, so years before initially predictions suggested, from a distance, the sun may seem calm and steady, but zoom in, and our home star is actually in a perpetual state of flux, right? Transforming over time from a uniform sea of fire to a chaotic jumble of warped plasma and back again into a recurring cycle. Every 11 years or so, the sun's magnetic field gets tangled up like a ball of tightly wound rubber bands until it eventually snaps and completely flips. All right, so we're expecting one. I believe the first week of April. It's coming soon, turning the North Pole into the South Pole and vice versa. In the leading up to this gigantic reversal, the sun amps up its activity, belching out fiery blobs of plasma, growing dark planet sized spots, and emitting streams of powerful radiation. And wasn't it about 3 months ago that scientists discovered a huge dark spot that could actually fit about 60,000 Earths? That's how big that huge dark spot was, which causes a larger release of CMEs. Makes perfect sense. This period of increased activity, known as solar maximum, is also a potentially perilous time for Earth, which gets bombarded by solar storms that can disrupt communications, damage power infrastructures, harm some living creatures, including astronauts, and send satellites plummeting toward the planet. And some scientists think that the next solar maximum may be coming sooner. So this is coming from hard-based science. It's not just from, the New Age community, from ancient prophecies. This is coming from people that are astronomers that are actually measuring, detecting, and analyzing and accessing the solar activity. Okay. Originally, scientists predicted that the current solar cycle would peak in 2025. All right. But a bumper crop of sunspots, solar storms, and rare solar phenomena suggest solar maximum could arrive by the end of this year, by the end of 2024, which corresponds with my vision that I had years ago about how, the shift of consciousness that would lead into the golden age would happen sometime in 2024. That is a vision that I had, guys, when I was writing The Secret Government 15 years ago. Not The Secret Government, I'm sorry. Our Cosmic Origin. Remember, it took me 10 years to write this book. So that was the vision that I had in writing Our Cosmic Origin 15 years ago. I kept the year 2024 kept popping up, 2024. So according to my vision, the scientists are aligning with what I've said, all right? And I know a lot of you, when I first came to the scene, I always talked about how 2024 was going to be perhaps the year of the Great Transition. All right, so let me continue here. So, and several experts told Life Science we are poorly prepared. All right, so what causes solar cycles? I guess that is a question posed in scientific journals. Approximately every 11 years, the sun goes from a low point in solar activity, known as solar minimum, to solar maximum and back again. It's not clear exactly why the sun's cycle lasts this long, but astronomers have noted that the pattern ever since the first, aptly named Solar Cycle 1, which occurred between 1755 and 1766. The current cycle, Solar Cycle 25, I guess we're going to be entering Solar Cycle 26, officially began in December 2019, according to NASA, approximately 11 years ago or so. Okay. So what causes our home star fluctuation? It all comes down to the sun's magnetic field. Alex James, a solar physicist at the University of College London in the UK, told Life Science, at solar maximum, the sun's magnetic field is so strong and organized with two clear poles like a normal dipole magnet, James said. The magnetic field acts as a giant force field that contains the sun's superheated plasma or ionized gas close to the surface, suppressing solar activity, he added. But the magnetic field slowly gets tangled, with some regions becoming more magnetized than others. James said, as a result, the sun's magnetic field gradually weakens and solar activity begins to ramp up. Plasma rises from the star's surface and forms massive magnetized horseshoes known as coronal loops that pepper the sun's lower atmosphere. These fiery ribbons can then snap as the sun's magnetic field realigns, releasing bright flashes of light and radiation, right? Known as solar flares or CMEs. Sometimes these flares also bring enormous magnetized clouds of fast moving particles known as coronal mass ejections. A few years after the maximum, the sun's magnetic field snaps and then completely flips. We're expecting that in a few weeks, guys. This ushers in the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new solar minimum, James said. Related, could a solar storm ever destroy Earth? So, this is a question posed by scientific experts to to determine whether we are in the solar cycle. Researchers monitor sunspots, darker, cooler, circular patches of our local star surface where coronal loops form. Sunspots appear when strong magnetic fields poke through the surface of the sun, James said. By looking at those sunspots, we can get an idea of how strong and complex the sun's magnetic field is at that moment. Sunspots are almost completely absent at solar minimum and increase in number until they peak at solar maximum, but there is a lot of variation from cycle to cycle. So every cycle is different, according to James, who is the scientist that wrote this article. Solar cycles. So now we're going to be ending solar cycle 25, and we're about to undergo solar cycle 26. So in April 2019, we're going back to when the beginning of solar cycle 25. The solar cycle 25 prediction panel, which is made up of dozens of scientists from NASA and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, abbreviated NOAA, NOAA, released its forecast for solar cycle 25, suggesting that the solar maximum would likely begin sometime in 2025. In 2025, that's what, less than a year now, and would be comparable in size to the maximum of solar cycle 24, which peaked usually late between mid-2014 and early 2016, and was quite weak compared with past solar maximums. But from the beginning, the forecast seemed off. For instance, the number of observed sunspots have been much higher than predicted. In December 2022, the sun reached an 8-year sunspot peak. And in January 2023, scientists observed more than twice as many sunspots as NASA had predicted. 143 observed versus 63 estimated. All right, with the number staying nearly at high over the following months. In total, the number of observed sunspots has exceeded the predicted number for 27 months in a row. While the bounty of sunspots is a major red flag, they are not the only evidence solar maximum could be here soon. They are not the only evidence that solar maximum could be here soon. Okay, so it's going to be here soon, right? 2024, 2025, but let's just hope it happens early 2024 because we all want to go into the golden age. I think we're all tired of this corruption and this imbalance and this injustice and tyranny. All right. So another key indication of solar activity is the number and intensity of solar flares. In 2022, there were 5-fold more C-class and M-class solar flares than there were in 2021. And year on year, the number of the most powerful X-class solar flares is also increasing. According to Space Weather Report, the first half of 2023 logged more X-class flares than in all of 2022, and at least one has directly hit Earth. Solar flares Classes include A, B, C, M, and X, with each class being at least 10 times more powerful than the previous ones. So that's how they measure solar flares. They give them alphabetical numbers. So we have A being the most minimum, B being, the next in power, C being a little bit more powerful, M and X. And X is the most powerful one. And that's how they are able to measure the intensity of these solar flares. All right, so 10 solar storms that blew us away in 2022. Solar flares can also bring geomagnetic storms, major disturbances of Earth's magnetosphere caused by solar wind or CMEs. For instance, on March 24, a stealth CME hit Earth without warning and triggered the most powerful geomagnetic storm in more than 6 years, which created vast auroras or northern lights that were visible in more than 30 US states. An overall increase in the number of geomagnetic storms this year has also caused the temperature in the thermosphere, the second highest layer of Earth's atmosphere, to reach a 20-year peak. All right, so there are different levels, right, of spheres. You have the stratospheres, the ionosphere, the thermosphere, right? For those that believe that we have a dome, we don't have a dome, guys. It's just different layers or spheres that are actually blocking harmful cosmic radiation, right? They call it it's the Van Allen belts, the Van Allen belts. For those that remember astrophysics in school, or is it geophysics? There we go, geophysics. Okay, so rare solar phenomena also become increasingly common near solar maximum, and several have happened in recent months. On March 9th, a 60,000 mile tall plasma waterfall rose above and then fell back towards the sun. On February 2, an enormous polar vortex, or ring of fire, swirled around the sun's north pole for more than 8 hours. And in March, a solar tornado ranged for 3 days and stood taller than 14 Earths. Wow. 14 Earths stacked on top of each other. That was a huge flare. All this evidence suggests that the solar maximum is going to peak earlier, and it's going to peak higher than expected. James told Live Science. This opinion is shared by many other solar physicists, experts told in Live Science. The exact start to solar maximum will likely only be obvious once it has passed and solar activity decreases. However, one research group led by Scott McTosh, a solar physicist and deputy director of the National Center for the Atmospheric Research in Colorado, has predicted the solar maximum could peak later this year, 2024. This is coming from scientific reports. Potential impacts on the Earth. So the solar maximum may be coming on stronger and sooner than we anticipated. Why does this matter? The answer primarily depends on whether solar storms barrel into Earth. A researcher at the NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center, who has not been part of the Solar Cycle 25 prediction panel, told Live Science that to hit Earth, solar storms must be pointing in the right direction at the right time. Increases in solar activity makes this more likely, but don't guarantee the planet will be slammed with more storms, she added. But if a solar storm does hit, it can ionize Earth's upper atmosphere and fuel radio and satellite blackouts. All right, this is what probably many people are calling, 3 days of darkness, 10 days of darkness. It's when this big CME knocks out the entire planetary grid. All right. But not to be fearful, guys, because the Y-hats are also going to quickly install their own grid system, okay? Because remember, we're using, right now, the internet, everything that we use electronically has been given to us by the cabal, okay? So big storms that block the planet's connections to satellites can temporarily wipe out long-range radio and GPS systems for up to half the planet. On its own, that is just a minor inconvenience, but if a lengthy blackout coincided with a major disaster, such as an earthquake or tsunami, the results could be catastrophic, she added. Strong solar storms can only generate ground-based electrical currents that can damage metallic infrastructure, including older power grids and rail lines, Fang said. Airplane passengers may also be walloped by higher levels of radiation during solar storms, although it's not clear if the doses could be high enough to have any healthy impacts. Fang said, however, such spikes in radiation would be much more significant for astronauts on board spacecraft such as the International Space Station or the upcoming Artemis mission to the moon. As a result, future missions should factor solar cycles into consideration, she added. Past research has also revealed that geomagnetic storms can disrupt the migration of gray whales and other animals that rely on the Earth's magnetic field lines to navigate, such as sea turtles and some birds, which can have disastrous consequences. An ionized upper atmosphere also becoming denser, which can create additional drag for Earth orbiting satellites. This extra drag can push satellites into each other or force them out of orbit. For instance, in February 2022, 40 of SpaceX Starlink satellites burned up in Earth's atmosphere when they plummeted to Earth during a geomagnetic storm the day after they were launched. And the number of satellites has exponentially increased compared with past solar cycles. Fang said, most are operated by commercial companies that rarely factor space weather into satellite design or launch schedules, she added. Companies want to launch satellites as soon as they can to make sure that they don't delay rocket launches. Okay, so I think that's enough for that. Oh, let me read this. Humans can do little to shield ourselves from a direct solar storm hit, but we can prepare for them by altering satellite trajectories, grounding planes, and identifying vulnerable infrastructures. Thank you guys for all the love. I see all the hearts. Thank you, thank you. Feng Sui. As a result, more accurate solar weather forecasts are needed to help us prepare for the worst, she added. During solar minimum, a localized magnetic field, which is left behind from the sun's magnetic field, surrounds the sun's equator. This localized field prevents the sun's main magnetic field from growing stronger and getting tangled up. Growing stronger and getting tangled up, meaning the localized field eventually acts like a handbrake, preventing solar activity from increasing. But suddenly, and without warning, this localized field disappears, releasing the brake and enabling solar activity to ramp up. This drastic change is what the team dubbed solar cycle termination events or terminators. This is what they call termination cycle events or terminators, because solar terminators occur at the exact moment of solar minimum, and as when solar minimum ends, they occur after each solar cycle has officially begun. Looking back over centuries of data, the team identified 14 individual solar terminators that preceded the start of solar maximums. The researchers noticed that the timing of these terminators correlate with the strengths of the subsequent solar peaks. The early years of data are sparse, so the team couldn't identify solar terminators in each cycle. For example, the terminator at the start of solar cycle 24 happened later than expected, which allowed for less magnetic field growth during solar cycle 24, resulting in a weaker solar maximum. But the terminator at the start of solar cycle 25, which occurred in December 13, 2021, was earlier than expected, which the researchers took as a sign that the solar maximum would be stronger than the previous one. Thank you for all the love. Thank you. I see all the hearts. Thank you for hitting the like. Ever since 2021, Terminator solar activity has been ramping up faster than expected. The way solar cycle 25 is progressing suggests that solar terminators could be the best way of predicting solar cycles. In July 2022, NASA acknowledged the work done by a scientist by the name of Mick Tosh and his colleagues and noticed that solar activity seemed to be ramping up sooner than expected. Still, NASA hasn't updated in 2025 forecast in the light of Macintosh data and is probably not giving to incorporate terminators into future forecasts. Macintosh predicted, or Macintosh, if I could say it right. I think they will just stick with their models, he says. All right, so that was interesting. Now, let's learn about this. Before I get into the ancient accounts, right? How we're ending a 280,000 year cycle where all of a sudden the sun went from, the red sun into the orange sun that we've known. Now it's becoming a white sun. Well, this is something that happens every 280,000 years. That's just like how we evolve, we go through our own cycles of evolution. So does the sun, and so do planets, and so do solar systems, galaxies, and universes. Again, all this and more will be explained in my class. All right, so when our star erupts, this is a report that an event that took place in 1859, where I guess this event took out, in 1859, they call it Carrington. Okay, this was written by Richard Carrington. That's what they call it, the Carrington event, right? When the flare is so strong, it actually wipes out light. It wipes out electricity as we know it. Lamps, even back then in 1859 when they were using lamps, it wiped everything out. All right, so in 1859, astronomer Richard Carrington was studying the sun when he witnessed the most intense geomagnetic storm recorded in history. The storm, triggered by a giant solar flare, sent brilliant auroral displays across the globe, causing electrical sparkling and fires in telegraph stations. So this is something that happened in 1859, a long time ago, over 100 years ago. This was the last big solar flare, right? They call it a Carrington event. Obviously, it caused problems for those people, and it affected the entire planet back then. Shortwave scientist in residence Regina G. Barber talks to solar physicist Dr. Shamia Farid about what's now known as the Carrington event and about what may happen the next time a massive solar storm hits Earth. Well, this time, if a Carrington event happens, and for those that don't know what a Carrington event is the idea that if a solar storm or a powerful CME so intense and so vast exerts and hits the Earth, it could wipe out everything. The internet, the grid, the satellite systems, our devices, your watch, nothing will work. Nothing will operate. It's going to be like a blackout worldwide. That's what they call a Carrington event, okay? For those who don't know what that term means. So the storm triggered by a giant solar figure. So in 1859, astronomer Richard Carrington was studying the sun when he witnessed the most intense geomagnetic storm recorded in history. The storm, triggered by a giant solar flare, sent brilliant auroral displays across the globe, causing electrical sparkling and fires in telegraph stations. Okay, luckily, the people we weren't living in that time period to experience that, unless, of course, you have memories of your past reincarnation or your past lifetimes, and you were there to experience the Carrington event of 1859. Okay, shortwave scientist in residence Regina G. Barber talks to solar physicist Dr. Shami Farid about what's now known as the Carrington event and about what may happen the next time this massive solar storm hits the Earth. You can check out NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory for pictures of our sun in real time. Okay, so let me continue. Guess that's it for that one. All right, are you guys ready for the ancient prophecies that talked about the solar flash? But before I get to that point, there's one more article I do want to share with you guys. Or was that the last one? I think that was the last one. All right, so really quick, what is the solar cycle? What is it and why does it matter? It does matter. It affects everything, right? Okay, so the solar cycle describes an approximately 11-year cycle of solar activity driven by the sun's magnetic field and indicated by the frequency and intensity of sunspots visible on the surface. Okay, so that's what that is. Solar cycles are repetitive yet difficult to predict. A cycle can be as short as 8 years or as long as 14 years and varies dramatically in intensity. The current cycle, Solar Cycle 25, began December 2019. According to Solar Cycle 25 article from NASA, solar activity is expected to ramp up until the predicted solar maximum as early as 2024. As early as 2024. I hope it's April. I'm crossing my fingers that this is the great solar flash that the ancients talked about that will usher in the seventh golden age of enlightenment, the age of Aquarius. Okay, let me continue. So heightened solar activity poses a risk to satellites, spacecraft, and even spacewalking astronauts due to increased radiation exposure. On Earth, the large geomagnetic storms that solar activity triggers can interfere with high-frequency radio communications and global positioning systems, GPS. Okay, so that's a given. The solar cycle is driven by the sun's magnetic field, according to NASA Space Place. Every 11 years or so, the sun's magnetic field flips. So north becomes the south, and the south becomes the north. I read this first before I get into these ancient accounts, all right, of what happened to ancient civilizations who underwent the same situation that we're undergoing right now. But now the times are different, guys. Okay, we're ending a long cycle, a 280,000 year cycle, where our sun is actually going through an ascension period, right? It's becoming a white sun. Thank you so much for all the love and for the likes. I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe if you guys are new to my channel. Please do. Thank you. The solar cycle is driven by the sun's magnetic field, according to NASA Space Place. Every 11 years or so, the sun's magnetic field flips, so north becomes north and south becomes south. Changes in the sun's magnetic field affect the amount of activity on the solar surface. In a NASA statement, solar physicist Phil Scherer of Stanford University describes what happens during the solar cycle. The sun's polar magnetic fields weaken, they go to zero, and then emerge again with the opposite polarity. This is a regular part of the solar cycle. When the sun's magnetic poles flip, the effects ripple through the solar system. Since the heliosphere, the region of space that is influenced by the solar wind, extends billions of miles or kilometers beyond Pluto, according to the statement. Planets without a protective magnetosphere, such as Venus, feel the full impact. In 2006, the sun ejected a small coronal mass ejection, CME, a release of plasma and magnetic field, which hit Venus and stripped the planet's atmosphere of vast amounts of oxygen. Earth's magnetic poles also flip, but the interval between the reversal is much larger, averaging about every 300,000 years. Again, going to that 280,000 year cycle. Okay, years according to NASA climate. The last pole reversal happened about 780,000 years ago. Wow, that's almost 1,000,000 years ago, guys. That is a long, long time. Take a swig of my protein shake with greens. 1 second, guys. It's actually protein with moringa powder, enzymes, fiber, spirulina, chlorella, and all those good greens that are healthy for you. This is my in-between snack in between meals. I have a protein shake. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue. All right, so let's get to the juicy information. All right, so now we're going to talk about what the ancients knew regarding the times that we're living in. All right, so, all right, check this out. This is called the flash and the crash, based on evidence coming from ancient civilizations that have been here for hundreds of thousands and thousands of years, who left records testifying the events that wiped them out. Okay, but again, today's times are different. Now we're going to be transitioning into the Terra Earth, right? It's only going to wipe out the 3D Earth. Not, as we go into the 4th and 5D Earth, we're not going to experience the catastrophes, okay? So the flash and the crash. And there is a lot of spiritual indications here that they talked about a time where we were going to go back into light body form, that we were going to become upgraded due to this great event called the Great Solar Flash. All right, so here we go. After approaching the subject from two different points, Wilcock, following Hindu and Zoroastrianism tradition, and Boston University professor and geologist, his name is Sach, following the trial of the geological record and isotope data from ice cores, have presented us with an eye-opening hypothesis that an advanced civilization once existed on Earth that was wiped out by a major cyclical solar catastrophe. Okay? And that we may be next. But no fear. Again, this is going to cause our upgrade, our exaltation into the 450 Earth, okay? This past solar-induced cataclysm has not been conclusive provenly. However, evidence is mounting, especially in the geological world. Based on this evidence, Scotch's words are carefully measured and weighted with compassionate alarm. In a flash, civilization to the ancient Egyptians known as Zep Tepi, the first time, or the Golden Age when the gods lived with humans in Atlantis. This is by Plato, okay? So Plato, the Greek philosopher, spoke about this. He spoke about the Great Solar Flash. So he says, according to Plato, that this ancient civilization was wiped out from the face of the earth due to this the solar flare, okay? The survivors of this event lived underground for hundreds to thousands of years during the Dark Age that followed civilization, re-emerged, and began to tell stories about what happened and to warn the future about what is coming. Dr. Scotch Dr. Scotch wrote this paper back in 2018, okay? All right, so in the Indian epic poem, so this is drawing from the ancient Mahabharata text of ancient India. So according to the Indian epic poem known as the Mahabharata, the Great Tale, which some consider the most incredible tale ever told, and we must remember was written as fiction, we learn the cyclical solar event is called the Sambartika fire. All right, the ancient Indians from India used to call this event that wiped out their ancient civilization the Sambartika fire. The term occurs only 25 times in the whole 100,000 line poem, but it means the annihilation of all life when it takes place. We're talking about life in the 3D, guys, all right? We are going to be going into life in the 4th and 5th. There's a difference. All right, so the term occurs, okay, I've already read that. Let's see. But it means the annihilation of all life when it takes place in the 3D, as a reminder. Okay, so book 3, according to the Mahabharata text, contains the most direct reference to the fires that cleansed the earth. And then later, the Zoroastrians called it frasho kareti, meaning the final renovation or refreshing of the universe when evil is vanquished and all will be in perfect unity with God and a new creation. The Mahabharata tells us of this Sambartika fire emanating from the Surya, the sun. The Surya is what the Indians call the sun, and are characterized as a cloud filled with rods of lightning, strange clouds accompanying the lightning. It is wonderful to behold. Okay, so this is coming from the ancient Mahabharata text, guys. So according to the Anushayana Parva, which is called the Book of Instructions, you have to understand some of these writings predate our Judeo-Christian traditions. They actually go back to 5,000-6,000 years ago, which are really some of the oldest records. All right. So the fire born of this energy resembles in infulgence the lighting that flashes amid clouds. Verily, it seems as if 1,000 suns rose there, filling every side with a dazzling splendor. The energy of the Supreme Lord looked like the Sambartika fire, which destroys all creatures at the end of the Yuga. Well, the Yuga is the end of the age. Okay, so we are living in the age of Kali, which is the Iron Age, the age of which resembles the age of hell on earth, where the dark side ruled. But now we're going to be entering back the Satra Yuga, which is the golden age, right? All right, as we move into the age of Aquarius, which is going to be triggered by this Sambartika fire, the Great Solar Flash, as predicted. Okay. So verily it seems as if 1,000 suns roast there. J. Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, cited this exact passage after witnessing the first atomic bomb explosion, leaving open the possibility that he thought we rediscovered atomic energy and supported the belief that nukes and other advanced weapons were used in ancient India. And by the way, they were. I'm actually going to be doing a whole live on ancient nuclear war that took place among the different Anunnaki factions. That should be coming next. And using these ancient records, manuscripts that talked about this war between the Anunnaki, how even Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed by nuclear weapons. But anyway, that's a different topic. Let me go ahead and continue this. Okay, so Ezekiel saw something similar in 593 BC near Babylon. Now we're talking about the Old Testament prophet here, Ezekiel. So I took the stormy wind, blew from the north, a great cloud with light around it, a fire from with flashes of lightning darted, and the center, it sheen like bronze at the heart of the fire. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 4. As far as I can tell, let's see. These Sambartika fires or Great Solar Flash have been recurring events every 26,000 years. Makes a lot of sense, right? Because that's when our Earth, the solar system, enters the photon belt. These terms are not used together in the Hindu or Sorosian texts. Following these texts, it is hypothesized that it could lead in the positive sense to the imminent spontaneous transformation or ascension of humanity into the new level of being and a new level of evolution. Now, we're getting here somewhere, right? This time, it's not going to destroy us. It's going to upgrade us and spontaneously transform our carbon-based physical aging vehicles into light bodies, immortal vehicles. That's what this is saying, okay? So the ancients knew what they were talking about, obviously. All right, so could this be true? Again, the Mahabharata is considered to be fiction, but we know it's not, of course. Just like they said mythology was a myth. Yeah, right. Anyways, that's a different story. Okay, so the Mahabharata, okay, so however, there are some quite astounding archaeological discoveries, such as the mythical sunken city of Dwaraka, the port city of Krishna, off the coast of India. The text says was destroyed in the Kurukshetra War that have brought it into question the possibility that some of it is historically accurate. Skeptics say fictional works like this are often historically accurate, but this does not mean the events they describe are true. So taking the Mahabharata as a work of prophecy is like taking history lessons from Star Wars. All right. According to the people that, these new, I don't want to call them scholars, but I guess they are scholars, right? Professors. However, Scotch has geological evidence that something like the Sambartika fire, again, for those that are just jumping on the live, the Sambartika fire was the terminology that the ancient Indians described in the Mahabharata, known as the Great Solar Flash, which was an event that, like the Carrington event, that destroyed that ancient civilization. Okay, they call it the Sambartika fire. All right, so the Sambartika fire struck Earth in the ancient world, as he documents in his book. I guess Forgotten Civilizations: The Role of Solar Outbursts in Our Past and Future and Presentations. Humans were driven underground or in the caves to seek shelter from the plasma from the sun. Plasma is composed of highly charged ionized particles that are spit from the sun, right? They eject from the sun, CMEs. They can bring intense electrical and magnetic phenomena with them that can have cataclysmic effects. Cappadocia, the underground city in southern Turkey, is named as a place of refuge. It could be up to 12,000 years old and has at least 18 levels with over 20 kilometers of tunnels. It also has huge circular stone doors, massive wells, and air vents. Its purpose is unknown, but it has been speculated it was to hide from some type of cataclysm or invaders, according to Scotch, this scholar who wrote this. The invader was the sun. In this case, in the past, there is evidence that the elites back then built underground cities 18 levels under in order to hide from the solar flashes that took place in ancient times. Massive, which is, again, what the elites are trying to do today. Why do you think they're building these underground, flashes, lavishless networks, right? Mansions, right? Because they know the solar flash is coming. But little do they know that this time the solar flash is going to penetrate not just within the surface of the earth, but within the inner earth. So unless they're living right, unless they're service to others, they're going to burst this time. All right, so massive solar activity almost instantaneously ended the last ice age about 12,000 years ago, triggering cataclysmic floods. The water wasn't the biggest problem of the ancients. It was highly charged particles from the sun, fires that were terrifying of and running from. All right. So as previously mentioned, Scotch present this material at a conference where we co-presented it at Sedona, Arizona in May 2017. All right. So apparently this was a presentation that these scholars presented in Sedona in 2017. The Healing Sun Code, in which they discussed a new light and wisdom coming from the sun that activates the light body. So now we're getting into the spiritual ramifications of the effects, the positive effects. So, which this light that's coming from the sun, which activates the light body from within our DNA, and as it makes us new, which is going to be subjected to these ascension fires. All right. The silver lining here is that according to the text, the Sambartika fire occurs at the end of the Yuga or age, and humanity has not had to worry about it for a while. In fact, Hindu traditions say that the Kali Yuga ends sometime like 430,000 years from now. Most Hindu scholars agree we entered this present Yuga, the Kali Yuga, around 3102 BC, when Krishna left the earth and the Kurukshetra war of the Mahabharata began. But again, Krishna said that after 5,000 years, a new golden age would begin. All right? Well, he said this. Krishna said that in about 5,000 years, a new golden age would begin. Well, if he said that back in 3102 BC, that's 3,100 years ago, and you add 2,000 years, 2024, that's about right. Any day now actually corresponds with 2024. According to Krishna, in 2024, a new golden age will begin, or 2025, right? Depending on which timeline you're in, but it's any day now. So during the math, we are something like 50 years away from the beginning of this age when humans are transformed in mass into golden beings. This transformation predisposes that the ascension fires are present, right? They are present. This is contributing to the belief that these Sambartika fires are coming. Again, guys, for those that are just jumping in on the live, it's not a physical fire where the firemans are called and they have to put out the fire. It is the solar flash. It is the energy, the gamma ray frequencies that are coming from the sun that are going to burn the wicked and polish and exalt the righteous. That's what this means, okay? It is symbolic to the solar flares, to the great solar flash. For those that are just jumping on, we're talking about the great solar flash. It's ancient predictions. And of course, if you guys watched the beginning of this live, we talked about what solar cycles are and the impending, according to Noah and modern day science, the impending calamities are about to take place due to this expecting parenting event. Of course, they see it from a physical perspective, not understanding that that's going to exalt us and transform us into these rainbow light bodies. All right, so let me continue. So, is it possible this supposed work of fiction could be telling us about something that is going to happen in our world sometime between now and the immediate future? Is this why the sun appears to be acting up? Yeah. So, if so, the sun's timing is inquisitive. We are moments away from the singularity, or what it is known in the ancient texts as the singularity, when we fully merge with our light bodies and a new human emerges. Okay, so no one knows what is going to happen after the singularity. However, it will change everything, and like we result in the end of the human race as we know it, as we will be replaced by a new human race, which is what I call human 3.0, right? Or a physical angel, the metahuman, as opposed to the transhumanist human. Because remember, even the Cabal has their version of a post-human era, which they call homoborg, or through transhumanism. And we don't want to go into that timeline, of course. So I appreciate everyone that's on here. There's more that I want to share before I go into questions and answers. I want to welcome all 1,189 people in the house. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. All right, so let's continue. So if the so-called solar flash here to wipe us out graduates us, refreshes us, and ushers in the new future for humans, or is it just in time to wipe out the robotic transhuman agenda, which I've been talking about? See, there's more verification that I'm not crazy, guys. Ever since I came into the scene, on all my interviews, I always say that the great solar flash is going to nuke. It's going to be the EMP that's going to nuke the entire AI infrastructure. And of course, dissolve the nanotech in people's bodies from the mark of the beast. I've been saying that since I came into the scene, and now this article is backing it up. All right, so for a moment, we are left with two questions. Are the ascension fires coming, and with them a mass spontaneous ascension? All right, or will the ascension flame in our time but occur at some future time? These are serious questions. Okay, so let's see. So what do we do? Okay, so the solar flash is a cosmic magic carpet ride that we don't want to miss, according to Wilcock. It only happens once every 26,000 years or so, and if we miss it, we have to stay on this merry-go-round until the next cosmic reset. Okay, so there is evidence that if people don't make this flash, if people don't make this transition into the new Earth, unfortunately, if they are not good people, they're going to repeat the same cycle on another parallel Earth in another timeline that it still has to undergo 12,000 years of darkness. In other words, they have to repeat the entire cycle of the Kali Yuga, which is the Iron Age, which is equivalent to the age where the dark side and tyranny rule. All right, so, but I believe, according to my research, I'm going to add to this, because the Earth has already experienced this 26,000 years Platonic year cycle 5,200 times, right? There are greater cycles than that even these fall under. This is the last time we're ever going to experience a dark age again. This time, the Earth is just going to be on a steady upward spiral, ascending from harmonic universe 1 to 2, 3, 4, and eventually reaching 5, which is eternity. All right, so previous civilizations survived by living underground. We can too. Well, not like I said, this time there's going to be no place to hide. The solar flash is going to penetrate every layer of the Earth. Every layer of the Earth. My dog is just sitting here next to me. Are you partaking in this subject matter, Arthina? Or do you need to go potty? You need to go. You're going to have to wait. I'm sorry. Can you hold your pee? Thank you. I'm talking to my dog. Yes, I still talk telepathically to animals, guys. What? Yeah, you could hold your pee? Okay. Thank you. Please don't pee my floors. All right, so let's continue here. So, do governments of the world know of these events? Have they taken the prediction seriously? Is this why we are building massive underground facilities? If building underground bunkers does not sound appealing, or if an invitation to one of the underground corporate government safe heights is not forthcoming, then it might be time to begin devoting time, energy, and emotion to crafting a protective light body garment. After all, what do we wear to the solar flash but our rainbow light bodies? One second, I need to blow my nose. Thank you for your patience, guys. I am still battling allergies. I apologize for that. Every spring, I go through my allergy phase to show that I am human, that I am not AI. AI wouldn't have allergies. um, to shut all my haters out there who said, oh, he's probably AI. I am human. I have allergies just like all humans do. I am a biological entity with actual skin and a nose that is clogged at this time. All right, so mass ascension into light bodies. I have to have some humor here, right? To put an end to all my few haters out there who said Ishmael Perez could be AI, this and that. I'm like, oh God. Anyways, mass ascension into light bodies. One aspect of the contemporary interpretation of the Sambartica fire that most interests us is the possibility that masses of souls were spontaneously lifted off the earth during each previous. Oh, here's the evidence. There we go. So every time there was the Sambartica fire, according to the Mahabharata text, the righteous would be lifted. This is what they call the rapture now, right? Again, all of these religions draw from these ancient texts. So what they call the rapture is just a splitting, a harvest between the righteous and the wicked. The harvest, every time the solar flash takes place, every 26,000 years, the righteous ascend into a better world, into a heaven on earth. The wicked become recycled or get destroyed. Here is the evidence. Let me read that again. All right, so every time the Sambartica fire happens, there is a mass ascension of souls where there is a spontaneous lifting off of the earth during a previous flash event. And that celestial intermediaries, angels whose bodies resemble the sun, assist us during each cycle in this mass ascension. So apparently, what's happening now, it's something that has already taken place several times in the past. Okay? In Buddhism, Surya is depicted as a luminous human figure holding lotus flowers. Like other sons of the sun, Surya rides a celestial chariot of the sun. All right. The Mahabharata says that during the end time event, luminous humanoid beings will be seen to appear on the earth. Well, that's us. That's the activation of our light body. We are going to go. I believe that the star seeds are going to be transforming, and the earth terrans are going to see them as angels. I've talked about that, right? We're going to appear to them as angels as we pop into the fourth D earth. God, I love the Mahabharata text. It just kind of, validates everything that I've been talking about too. So these beings are described as having many, many abilities, the superpowers that are coming in, right? Their bodies were made of light. These means that they are plasma beings. Okay, so let's see, where am I here? So this, let's see. I don't want to get off subject. Let's see. Am I done here? All right, so this is good to know. The plasma bodies of the seraphim, and who are the seraphim? The angelics. The plasma bodies of the seraphim match the rainbow light bodies of Tibetan Buddhist. Okay, so in the Jewish mystical book, the Hekalat Sutartiv, we learn that their walking is like the appearance of a lightning bolt. A vision of them is like a vision of a rainbow. Their faces are like a vision of a bride. Their wings are like the radiance of the clouds of glory. According to the ancient account of our fellow travelers, these extraordinary lightning like beings have supernatural powers, including shape shifting and facing between the immaterial realms and the material realms. My galactic Jedi's, that is going to be us after the ascension. When we go into the fifth dimension, we're going to be able to step down to the fourth the earth and be like angels to the earth Terrans who are going to be in the fourth the earth. And then, of course, through our light bodies, we're going to be able to shift back into the fifth dimension or other dimensions, which is going to be awesome. So this was all talked about in the Mahabharata. I love the Indian texts. It sounds like the Indian texts are more accurate than the Sumerian tablets, the Enuma Elish, the Eros Porals, the Epic of Gilgamesh. I like the Sumerian text because the Sumerian texts really align with everything that I've been talking about ever since I came into the scene. I love it. And this was based on my own downloads from the Galactics. Beautiful. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so in this resurrection body, according to the Mahabharata text, the rainbow light body, in this resurrection, according to the Mahabharata text, the rainbow light body is transformed. The human body morphs into a plasma-like form. So by linking the Watchers and the Seraphim with the rainbow body of light practice, it is believed that we could achieve a more complete version of ourselves, or whole, become more whole. If humans are transformed by the ascension fires of the healing sun, known as the plasma rainbow light body, it's known by different names, then that form, it will be morphed into a perfect being. There is evidence for this across different spiritual traditions. I'm going to go ahead and take some questions. I'm almost done. Thank you for the super chat, guys. You guys are awesome. Let's see. There is evidence of this across spiritual traditions, especially Christianity, where the rapture is described in exactly the same terms as spontaneous mass ascension. Let's see. I think that's it for now. All right, so according to the book Revelations, I'm almost done. It is foretold in Revelations 20, chapter 20, verse 11 to 15, that at the day of judgment, that the seraphim will dwell among humanity. The seraphim are the light beings, the light, the angels, whatever you want to call them. The day in Christ will receive a perfect glorified body at the first resurrection. What is a glorified body? This is talked about in the book Revelation. It is the light body, right? That is the promise of the Frashokureti, Sambartica fire, solar flash, all talked about in these ancient manuscripts. And this is what's happening right now as I speak. This is the promise of the Frashokureti. That the saints, well, who are the saints? The righteous. That the righteous will be transformed into with a glorified, perfected body. Those that do not resurrect in the first resurrection will be resurrected for judgment, to include those born during the 1,000-year kingdom. Okay, we talked about the millennium, right? There's going to be 1,000 years of peace. Those whose names do not appear in the book of life will be thrown into the lake of fire. And of course, metaphorically speaking, the lake of fire is that the souls, the cabal, or those that are still not, giving up their power, are going to be dissolved into the central sun and become nothing. That's what the lake of fire is. The lake of fire is returning back into just, pure substance. Pure light body, right? Or no, I'm sorry, they become recycled back into, they lose their individuality. They just become one with just, with everything, with the 0 point. They are no longer individuals. All right. Anything else before I take questions and answers? All right. So this is coming from Christian prophecies. All right. A river of fire was flowing, coming out of the sun. Thousands upon thousands of people saw it. The court was seated, the books were open. Daniel, This is the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 10. The fiery stream is also closely linked with the throne of God in Enoch, the book of Enoch, which was a book that was deliberately left out of the Bible. Again, this is part of the Apocrypha, the missing books, right? Hundreds and hundreds, some say 700 books were left out. From underneath this mighty throne, fire of flaming fire issued. To look upon it was impossible. One great in glory sat upon it, whose robe was brighter than the sun and whiter than the snow. No angel was capable of penetrating to view the face of him, the glorious and the effulgent, nor could any mortal behold him. A fire was flaming around him. Very interesting. All right, so I think we're done. So this was an article that was actually put together by William Henry. I don't know if you guys know who William Henry is, but he is a Nashville-based author. He's been on Ancient Aliens. He's been on Gaia. He's an investigative mythologist and TV presenter. He is an international recognized authority on human spiritual potential, transformation, and ascension. Not to mention, I had an opportunity to be on a panel with him, with William Henry, back in November at the Stairway to the Stars conference. And the panel was about AI. Me and William Henry were the only ones that were against AI, and everybody else on that panel was for AI. So me and William Henry, I'm actually going to bring him on the show. I forgot to mention, I do have his contact. We connected. We had a talk after the panel because we were both against AI. He is very intelligent. The guy and me, I mean, we could just talk for hours. This guy did his research. He did his homework. He's been in the scene for over 25 years, I believe, and he's written many, many books. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and take some questions and answers from the Galactic Jedis after I take a drink, of course. My ionized hydrogen water. How is everyone doing here today? Thank you so much for being here. All right, so I'm going to start with the super chats, and then I'm going to just take random questions. I want to welcome Julie. Julie Lynn Bauman is in the house. Thank you so much for your number one, sister, and for your super chat. The other one just disappeared. I had two super chats. I don't know where it went. So Tony Lopez is asking me if are we in solar cycle 25 or maximum since January 2024? I believe it's not. We are actually in beginning stages of solar cycle 26 maximum, to answer your question, according to the article I read, according to science. Thank you guys for all the love. Thank you. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel. Again, if you guys haven't had a chance to check out my website, ourcosmicorigin.com, I do put it in the description. Make sure you do. I created a forum where we could all partake, all right, and interact and share and, be one family of light in my website. It's called ourcosmicorigin.com. I've been chatting with people there lately. I'm going to probably go on there 2 to 3 times a week and interact with as many as you as possible. So this is an open forum for all the light warriors that want to come in and just have a space to, interact and share ideas. So ourcosmicorigin.com, check out my website. And I appreciate those Galactic Jedis that have already checked it out and that are already part of the forum. I would love to bring all the different loose-knit pockets of Galactic Jedis and just bring them all on my website so that we could all interact freely. Thank you. So I'm just going to take questions. Let's see. I am thinking I'm going to buy a reverse osmosis machine, says Melissa Knight. Yes, if you guys are interested in your what's going on here? Why is there an earthquake? My camera was just shaking. Oh, it was me moving the desk. Oops, there we go. See? I thought there was an earthquake here. Oh no, it's the Great Solar Flash. See you guys. I'm ascending. Bye. I'm just kidding. Or in this case, we'll see you all there. If you're all ascending, let's go. Let's do it. All right. So Yes, please don't forget to put your questions in caps, guys. That would be greatly appreciated. So I could bypass the chat. I guess I'm gonna have to use my phone to answer questions because I am unable to um, scroll the chat here. I can't stand these commercials. And again, guys, I apologize for the commercials. That is YouTube, not me. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take some questions at this time from my phone. So Truth Seeker Forever is giving me a suggestion. She says, Ishmael, try Red Dead Natal or Mullen for your allergies. Got it, sister. Red Dead Nettle or Mullen. All right, I'm gonna go find that. Hopefully they have it at Sprouts. I don't take anything from CVS or pharmaceutical chemicals. I only take natural, um, whether it's plant based. It has to come from the earth, guys, because I don't trust chemical companies. All right, so this is important to share. It's part of the subject that we're talking about. Linda Smith is saying that Peter Konstantinov Dinov left a prophecy in 1944 regarding the coming divine cosmic fire. Makes a lot of sense. And if he said that in 1944, he must have been ahead of his time. Sylvia Vidal's in the house. Thank you, sister, for the super chat. She says, Hi, Ishmael. Can you please explain the difference between Earth Terrans and starseeds? Absolutely. Okay, so the difference between Earth Terrans and starseeds is that the starseeds have already ascended in a prior Earth, perhaps in another universe, or are old souls that are descending from the top down. Okay, so they're souls that actually decided to come back into the past, right? Because we come from the future. The higher dimensions correspond to the future in order to help planet Earth restore herself back into the higher densities. Now, an Earth Terran is a young soul that started their evolution from the bottom up. So they started off as the consciousness of an element, and then they evolved into the consciousness of a plant or a tree in the second dimension, right? They started off in the first dimension, and then they evolved into the second, and then they evolved into the third dimension, beginning in the animal kingdom, and then they became standing upright lemur types, what they called the different types of Australopithecus that later evolved into Homo africanus, Homo robustus, Homo erectus, Neanderthal, and then their soul came into the body of a Homo sapien. So those are the Earth Terrans. They're starting their evolution from the bottom up, from the bottom, and they're evolving gradually. So that's why when the solar flash takes place, as we go into harmonic universe 2, where Earth is in dimensions 4, 5, and 6, they're going to go into the fourth density Earth. Whereas the older souls are going to go back to fifth, sixth, seventh, all the way up to the 12th dimension, depending on where they came from. So that's the difference between an Earth Terran and a celestial, starseed, indigo, crystal, wanderer, so many terminologies to describe all the different volunteers that are down here in human form. Some people equate us to angels. Some people say that some of us come from the angelic realm, which is dimensions 7, 8, and 9. That's harmonic universe 3. See, the starseeds come from dimensions 4, 5, and 6, right? They come from, the Pleiades, from Arcturus, Andromeda, Lyra. Some of us come from dimensions 7, 8, and 9. That's the level of the angelics, right? And then some of us, believe it or not, comes from dimensions 10, 11, and 12. We are archangels. We come from the level of the archangels. So everything is in a constant state of progression, right? Angels have to evolve into archangels. Extraterrestrials from dimensions 4, 5, and 6 have to evolve into angels, and so on and so forth. And then archangels evolve into gods and goddesses, or what we call not archetypes, but overseers of universes. And then they evolve into cosmic entities to finally become one with Prime Creator Source. So that's what we are. Again, all this and more in great detail explained in my class. Go to our cosmicorigin.com. I have 3 or 4 spots left for my 3 o'clock course, which starts next Wednesday, the 13th, I believe. Yeah, the 13th, next Wednesday. I'm going to go ahead and take a super chat from Eddie Perez. How you doing, Eddie Perez? You must be my brother from another mother for having the last name of Perez. Thank you for the number 1. And your question is, what's the origin of the last name Perez? From what I understand, brother, is that Perez is the progenitor of King David. It's actually biblical. If you trace the Bible, right, when you come to the different chronology of this person begetting this person and that person begetting that person, Perez was the grandson of Judah, which was one of the 12 sons of Jacob. Perez had Jesse, and Jesse had King David, and David had Solomon. So Perez was the grandfather of King David. But instead of a Z at the end, it was an S, Perez, according to the original Old Testament account. That's who Perez is. So I have another question from Nature Boy 369. Welcome, Nature Boy. Thank you for your super chat. Your question is, hello, Ishmael. Do you know anything about the galactic wolf people? Like how lions are lion people? Thanks forever for all you do. Not in detail, but I've mentioned this before and I'll mention it again. The entire universe, we have zillions, gazillions of species out there. The main prototype is humanoid in every universe, right? There is a galactic human blueprint, archetype, that exists throughout all the universes. However, to every animal that we have here, we have the exact replica somewhere in the cosmos with a hominid body from here down and the head of that particular animal. So we have every animal, wolves, canines, cats, you name it, birds, lizards, insects, even insects, guys. Where do you think the insectoids come from? Except they're like 10 to 15 foot tall. Mantis, grasshoppers, every insect, every animal that exists here, there is an equivalent out there in the stars where they are highly intelligent, navigating space, and have a body of a human from the neck down with the face of the insect or the face of that animal. So as far as like the wolf people, where they come from, I would say that wolves are part of the canine family. So I would say that they come from one of the Sirius star systems, the big dog star. All right, to answer your question. Alrighty. All right, I'm just gonna take random questions. All right, so this is a good one from Project Skyfalls. She says, or Project, or he, I'm just gonna call you Galactic Jedi. Project Skyfalls wants to know, will the grid shut down in April 8th? That's a very good question. I guess we're all gonna have to find out together. Again, guys, 2024 is gonna be the year of massive things unfolding. So I think all this begins in April. We'll see. Could be the fall of the Cabal. Could be Nasera Gesera. Could be the great solar flash. I hope. We'll see. All right. Let's see. So Radiant Guardians has a question up there somewhere. She says, "I'm going to try to find your question." Oh, I can't find it, sister. There's so many people on the chat. Trying to find your question is like trying to find a pin in a what is it called, in a hill stack or in a stack of hay. How the saying goes. So this is a good question regarding extraterrestrials from Double M. Are the Pacor family extraterrestrials or from inner Earth? The Pacor family, I've never heard of them. I've never heard of the Pacor family. I'll tell you what, uh, Double M, I will research that. And if it's not in documents, I will ask the Galactics to see where the Pacor family comes from, if they're ETs from the inner Earth or from outer space, and I will give you that answer on the next chat, okay? Please don't pee on my floor, Athena. Just hold on, maybe 30 more minutes, please. Come on, I'll buy you a bone. All right, so I have another super chat here from Carolina Kid LT. Hello, Carolina. How you doing, sister? Thank you for the number 3. Hey, Ishmael, you have mentioned that we will go back to looking 30 after the ascension. Will this happen spontaneously or through medbed tech? Thanks. That's a very good question. So if you are a volunteered soul, which means that you are from dimensions 5 or above that came back down to dimensions 3, then it's going to happen spontaneously, automatically, like that. If you are an Earth Terran, which I doubt, I think by now I only attract attracts like, so I only attract others that are like me, which means you guys are all volunteers, celestials. That means that you won't need a med bed. You won't need a med bed. The solar flash itself is going to cause a miraculous healing and a miraculous spontaneous regeneration back into the 30 worldwide in a split of a second. So that's what's going to happen. Yes, to answer your question, it's going to happen by the solar flash, not by the med beds. So Unicorn and Dragons is asking me a question. She wants to know, what do I think about Anubis? Anubis. Well, Anubis is the Greek god. No, I'm sorry, the Egyptian god. The Egyptian god that guards the gates of, I believe, hell, or is it eternity? I'm not sure. But no, I believe that he has his purpose in the pantheon of the Greek gods. And he also guides souls in the afterlife after a mortal has disease. Anubis is there to guide that soul back to its next phase, whether it's reincarnation or moving up to the next level. Or if it's a wicked soul, then he sends them to a lower realm, right? So I don't think he's evil. I think that Anubis is actually good because he's also from Sirius B. He's a dog celestial, a dog man. That's my opinion. You know, some people could think he's evil, right? Because they say that some people believe that he guards the gates of hell too. It's like that question: is the Green Ripper evil or not? No, the Green Ripper is not evil. The Green Ripper, the angel of death, works and has a position within the spiritual hierarchy of angels. So no, I don't think they're evil. Good question though. All right, so this is another question from Estela Gracia Medrano. Ishmael, can you make an update in QFS healing regeneration or rejuvenation medbeds, please? Well, let's see. The QFS, the quantum financial system, it's a living technology, not to be confused with artificial intelligence. It is a living technology that is used by the same crystal technology that was employed or implemented during Atlantean times. This is my dog that is walking, hitting my table. Athena, can you sit still, please, so people don't think there was an earthquake here? Thank you. Um, so the QFS is going to be directly connected to our heart's vibration, which will determine how much in service and how much love radiates from you. So the people in the new earth, right, are going to be wealthy depending on how much love they generate. So the more love you generate, the more abundance you're going to receive. The more, the more what's called units you're going to receive. So to answer your question, yeah, the quantum financial system is a good thing. I don't know about regeneration or rejuvenation. That is more directly tied into the med beds. So the med beds are for the Earth Terrans that are going into the fourth D Earth, not the fifth D Earth. Again, so there's going to be a difference. The fourth D Earth is going to be where the Earth Terrans are going to go, and yes, they're going to be using med beds to regenerate spontaneously, to heal, to rejuvenate. But again, they're not going to have the lifespan that we do in the fifth dimension. In the fifth dimension, we're going to live for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, right? Because we're going to be using our light body. Whereas in the fourth dimension, they're still going to be using 75% carbon-based genetics and only 25% crystalline-based genetics. So they will be needing the med beds. Yes. That's a very good question, Estella. Glitching. I shouldn't be glitching, guys, because my my internet is at full blast, unless AI is intervening again, like always. I see I have another super chat. Julie Lynn Bauman, thank you so much for the super chat. Let me see. Oh, I do have another super chat from Joy. Joyful in the house. How you doing, sister? Thank you so much for being here. Your question is, Ishmael, in 5D, are you able to change things about your body, hair, etc., or do you need a med bed for that? Not if you're going to 5D. If you're going to 5D, you're actually going to be, your body's going to match what your thoughts are. So whatever you are thinking up here and feeling here, your body's going to spontaneously react to that. It's going to morph into that. All right. So that's the beauty of going into 5D. We won't need technology, guys, because we are going to be the technology. Remember, the inner software, right, which is a dormant DNA, crystalline double diamond, hydroplasmic, as we move into 36 and 48 strands. Take my course, guys. I'm going to go into deep knowledge. I have 3 spots left in my 3 o'clock course next Wednesday. I go into all this in detail, but our genetics is going to morph into whatever we think and feel spontaneously. And then Matrix 369 is in the house. Thank you so much for the super chat. Ishmael, can you explain twin incarnations? Are they the same soul? That's a very good question. Okay, so I am one of my friends is a twin, and his twin is a female. He's a male, and they're totally two different people. So I believe that they're not the same soul. I believe that they have their own separate soul, because my friend and his sister, his twin, are totally two different people. So that's all I'm going to say about twins. That, based on my observation, I'm not a twin, but one of my friends is a twin, and him and his twin sister are two different people. So I would say that they're two different souls with their own body. And then I have another super chat from Sean. Sean Coles, how you doing, brother? Thank you for the super chat. Your question is, do you think we can feel or sense our DNA crystalline, or will this happen more with the solar flash? I believe that as we get closer to that great Frascio Coretti Sambartica fire event, right? It's going to happen more, brother. Yes. But some people are already going through some internal change, right? Everyone goes through it differently because everyone is on a different path. Again, not all of us are going to go into the 5th dimension. Some of us are going to go into the 6. Another group of us are going to go into the 7. A fewer number of us are going to go into the 8, 9, and then a small group of us are going to go into the 10, 11, and 12. So it all depends on where you came from. The volunteers come from all the realities all the way to the 12th dimension. And then there are 13 individuals that come from the 13th level of reality. Dimensions 13, 14, and 15. Those are the cosmic ratios that are also embodied in human form. So a question from Ravens, Wings 33. How you doing, Ravens? Thank you for the super chat. I saw a close-up video of a star in Sirius. It made me cry. Could it be home? Perhaps it could be. Yeah, if you felt an emotional, intimate connection and it made you cry, chances are that that was your home planet trying to make contact, or at least just trying to let you know if you're ready to come home. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But again, guys, why go back when this Earth is going to be the epicenter of the multiverse? This is going to be the new headquarter world. Remember that. I mean, you could always go back and visit, but this is where the new throne, the office of the Christ, the office of the Christ is going to be stationed. It's going to be coming from Sirius. Right now it's in Sirius. So it's going to come from Sirius, and it's going to be repositioned here on this planet. The office of the Christ, the headquarters, all right, of the new guardians of councils. Yes, Marilyn Jacobson says, I believe that's true. Wrinkles do go away in higher dimensions. I agree. Yes, I mean, if we're going to regenerating back to looking 30, the wrinkles and the gray hairs are going to dissolve, right? They have to, because I didn't have wrinkles at 30. Did you guys have wrinkles or gray hairs at 30? Well, there are some people that start getting gray hairs at the age of 28. But yes, the whole point is we're going to be reversing everything. See another super chat from Ingrid. Ingrid is in the house. How you doing, sister? Thank you so much for being here. She's asking, are NPCs soulless people by birth, or do they sell their soul for power and money? That is a very good question, Ingrid. Thank you, Ishmael. We love you. Love you too, sister. I believe that NPCs are soulless people from birth. NPCs give birth to NPCs, okay? In ancient Atlantis, there was a program that gave us the background people, right? The non-player characters. When the intergalactic computer that was used by Enki threw us into this, also, according to the Gnostic text, Enki is the demiurge, threw us into this false illusionary reality to keep us trapped and enslave us. He also created a program where he made avatars with no souls that were supposed to breed and give birth to other souls in order to repopulate humanity. So they've been around for thousands of years, since the fall of Atlantis, without a soul. And the reason being is because they're just vessels. They're vessels for the Archons. They're vessels for the reptilians and the Dracos and the negative Anunnaki to possess and do whatever they want, right? To make life hard for the people with real souls. To answer your question. Now, the second part of your question was, excuse me. Now, on the other hand, as I revealed in my book, The Secret Government, which is going to come out soon, there are some people throughout history that have deliberately sold their souls to the cabal, the secret government, which has always existed, right? They've been around since the fall of Atlantis, in order to have power, to have physical and material gain, and nowadays for fame. So there are people that have deliberately sold their souls to the devil to gain fame. Case in point, Lady Gaga, Madonna, Tom Cruise, just to name a few. I don't want to give too many names because if some of these names trigger the algorithm, I'm going to be bad here with fluff tooth. So yeah, just to give you guys a few examples of how there are certain people who actually sold their souls to the devil, or in this case to the cabal, and the reptilians that are over the cabal, in order to gain power, fame, and money. All right, so Julie Lynn Baumans, thank you so much for your donation. She says, I always have ringing in my right ear, which is this one, and it's on a side, and it's on its site. Is this going into different dimensions? That could be multiple things. It's common. Throughout my entire life, I've had ringing in my ears. One of the things that is happening is that your guides are trying to communicate with you through your intuition. So if you guys are experiencing ringing in your ears, take some time out, close your eyes, and go within and see what they want to communicate to you. Another thing is it's your future self is trying to also reach out to you, or you're getting a transmission, or you're getting a telepathic message from somebody else. I mean, it could be multiple things. But yes, ringing in the ear has a lot to do with there is some sort of communication taking place on a metaphysical level of reality, whether it is through telepathy, intuition, and so on and so forth. Yes, okay, somebody's saying, who the hell is I Spice? Well, this is a Renee Velasco is asking who is well in the Super Bowl, right? Last month, she was sitting a row behind what's her name? That famous singer, I forget her name. To show you guys that I don't watch TV or listen to pop radio. Um, what was her name? Taylor Swift. She was sitting in a row to the right behind Taylor Swift, and there is a viral video that went through where she did the the Satan sign. She was throwing these satanic signs. She was doing this, whatever. That's who she is. She's obviously a Satanist practitioner. Sold her soul to the devil. That's just one example of how these celebrities become satanic for power and fame. That's who she is. For those that didn't know who she is, her name, she goes by the name of Ice Spice. Ice Spice. I think I said it right. Yeah, so just watch out for that video. It's a clip. It went viral. She's right behind Taylor Swift, perhaps to the right, and she's doing these satanic devil, hand gestures and whatever it is she's doing. Like she's doing like a ritual on national television. That's who she is. Yeah, I don't watch sports, guys. I don't watch the Super Bowl, but I did stumble upon that. People always send me these reels. People always send me things. So every now and then, if I have time to go on social media, I'll see whatever they send me. And yes, that's how I found out that that Spice Girl was doing some Satanist ritual with her hands and throwing the the sign of the devil and so on and so forth. All right, this is a good question from Debbie. I mean, double. No, is it double? Yeah, double M. Double M is asking, how had other ETs defeated the Draconian Empire in the past? And who gave them the toughest test and who got wiped out? Well, the concept of the reptilians, exist in all the universes where there are rebellions against the light. So Lucifer is one of many, Samana. In many universes where there are rebellions against the light, the beings, the high level angelics that rebel against the light, eventually, as they descend into a lower harmonic density, translate as reptilian. All right. And that is the difference. And I talk about that in my book, Our Cosmic Origin, that the difference between the angelics and the the fallen angels is that the angelics translate into the Adam Catman, which later become the Adamic races, right? The human archetype. Whereas the reptilians, or whereas the fallen angels translate as grotesque, you know, ugly looking draconians. And that's how you're able to distinguish between the fallen angels in physical form and the angels that did not fell in physical form. We are part of the angelic kingdom because we're human, right? So the fact that we're human means that we did not join the Lucifer rebellion. Otherwise, if we would have joined the Lucifer rebellion, we would have incarnated in reptilian bodies. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, we've won the war against the Dracos in our universe and in our galaxy. But there are about 2 or 3 solar systems that are still under the control of the Draco and other galaxies within our universe. Upon the Great Solar Flash, we are going to liberate those as well. But for the most part, yes, the galactic wars are done with. Are done with. As of 2020. Thanks to our super soldiers, by the way. Our super soldiers are the heroes in our universe. I have another question from Nature Boy 369. Thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Will there be a wave of energy to warn us the merge solar flash is getting ready to occur like the same day? I don't think so. I think it's going to happen like a thief in the night, by surprise. And this is validated in all the ancient accounts, including the Bible and the book of Revelation. Really, the solar flash is the coming of the Christ. It's not a person, it's not a man. It is a trigger, it is a flare that triggers and transforms the righteous into the next phase of level of human evolution, which is what I call in my book physical angels, or humans with supernatural powers. So yeah, it's going to happen spontaneously, without a notice. But I feel like on an intuitive level, as we do the spiritual work, as we continue to meditate, we will intuitively know that it's here. All right? But that is just my opinion on an intuitive level, guys. 10 minutes to go. 10 minutes to go. Technically 14. 14 more minutes to go. And then I got to take Athena potty. All right, so I'm just going to take a few more questions. All right. Oh my gosh. You guys are funny. I'm reading some of the chat here. I want to welcome all 1,200 plus people that are in the house. Thank you guys for spending your Saturday evening with me. Thank you. Thank you. And please, guys, don't forget to share this with as many people as possible. I'm trying to grow my channel so that I could knock off all those pirated channels and get to 100,000 subscribers first. Because if the other guy does it, which is the fake me, Ismael Perez official, if he does it before me, I'm going to lose my channel. So if you guys could help me grow my channel before the other pirated channels do, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Jimmy W is saying, Ishmael, don't forget my super chat. Well, Jimmy W, where is it? Stuart Williams, thank you so much for your super chat, brother. I appreciate that. All right, Jimmy W, where is your super chat? I don't see it. Let me see. Let me check my laptop to see if it's on here on my big screen, and I do not see it. Yeah, I don't see it, brother. I apologize. Okay, so Renee Velasco is saying that you're repeating what Donald Trump was saying. Okay, thank you for the correction. But it's important because people wanted to know who Ice Spice was, whoever her name is, that Spice Girl, Ice, whatever. I don't know, but she was throwing some satanic symbols and doing some weird rituals on the stands. And I'm sure some of you guys saw that one, right? Jimmy W., I don't know. I can't find your super chat, brother. It's not here. It's hiding somewhere in cyberspace. You think you could actually resend it? Lila Mocha says, I thought an NPC can't give birth. From what I come to understand, guys, is they could, but they only give birth to produce avatars for Archon energy and reptilian energy to possess them. All right. So they are, in a way, vehicles for the dark side, for the, lower fourth dimensional entities, archonic entities, whatever you guys want to call them. That's what they are. Yeah, 9 o'clock, chest and triceps. Yeah. All right, bye. That was my son who just came in. We work out together on the weekend. No. Melissa Knight is asking me what I think about child protecting services. Um, well, I mean, I think that if they're doing their job right, if kids are being abused, yeah, they do have the right to exist. I don't know. I mean, I've never had to call them. I've never had to witness them, but I do know that they have saved a lot of kids in the past. So Gazelle has a question. She wants to know, is 5D similar to Earth? And the answer to that is, or similar to death. She says, is 5D similar to death? Not at all. It's actually the other way around. All right. So what if I say that before in essence, we're spirit, we're light. Okay. That's true life. We are eternal. We don't feel pain. We are in everlasting glory and joy. When we incarnate into a third dimensional vehicle made of flesh and blood, we die to our spirit. So it's the other way around. When we die to our body and our spirit becomes liberated and released, then that is what I call being born, because we are born back into our light body, into our spirit, which exists in the fifth dimension. So, on the contrary, living in the fifth dimension is true life because there is no aging, first and foremost. There is no death. You could live in the same vehicle, generate whatever vehicle you want by the power of your thoughts and emotions, or leave the vehicle in transition into another vehicle that is, much younger. So in the fifth dimension, there is no death. It's actually the other way around. But that's a very good question, sister. All right. All right. So I think Carrie Bonifacio captured Jimmy's question. Jimmy was asking something in relationship to the people that are going to make the ascension, um, and what are the requirements to make the ascension. Well, even if you're an earth Terran and you're not doing anything spiritual, you're just living your life, but you are a good person, right? You're not out there hurting people. You're not, hanging out with prostitutes in the weekend and, doing bad things. Okay. Chances are that you're actually going to be going to the fourth dimension by virtue of just being 51% service to others, which is something that comes from the law, from the raw material, the law of one. So you could just be a good person and still make the ascension into the fourth D earth, right? So yeah, the earth Terrans are going to be heading into the fourth D earth by virtue of just being generally good people, which is equivalent to what the raw material calls being 51% service to others, as opposed to being mostly, selfish. That's the difference, right? When you're in 51% service to others, you're not selfish. You are considerate of others. There's a lot of selfish people on this planet. There's a lot of narcissists that are not going to ascend. They're not going to ascend, guys, because they are extremely selfish. Yes, Beatrice L. Lee is saying, we become gods in the fifth dimension. Absolutely. Yes, with the minor letter or minor, it's not a capital G. There's only the one creator, the one infinite creator deserves the big G, the capital G. We're going to be minor case G, right? Or yes, we're going to be like gods. We're going to be immortals. And eventually we're going to go off and become district managers of sectors, planetary spheres, constellation overseers. Some of us are going to go and oversee entire galaxies. Some of us are going to go and oversee entire universes. And we're going to use our superpowers to maintain justice in these realms after the ascension, which is going to be detailed in my next book. It's going to be good. Randy Hobbs, Rolls of Nibiru now. Nibiru has been recuperated from Marduk, who abdicated in 1999, the son of Enki, the negative Anunnaki, and is now under the direction and leadership of the Syrian High Council. So it's not going to whack us. It's not going to cause like massive earthquakes and tsunamis. It's just going to pass us by and perhaps even trigger the sun into the great solar flash. This is a good question. Taha Sinclair is asking me, Ishmael, was Zeus the leader of the Israelites? Yes, Zeus, the Greek god Zeus, was Enlil to the Sumerians, Elyon, El Shaddai, Jehovah, Jireh, to the early Israelites. Yes, every ancient culture knew him under different names. So yes, Zeus was the god of the Hebrews. That's right. And why did he preserve the Hebrews? Why did he? He was even harsh with them because he wanted them to follow in the ways of the law of one, which is service to others, right? And he also wanted them to reconnect with their divinity and not worship external idols or images that were, established by the Babylonians. And that's why he prohibited them from mixing with the Canaanites, because who were the people of Canaan who received the curse? Why did they receive the curse? Because they were the children of Leviathan. They were the children of Enki Marduk, the reptilians. Zeus protected the early Israelites from mating outside of their tribe in order to preserve the Lyrian, Syrian, Pleiadian pure gene and not be mixed with the reptilian gene, in order to give birth to the most radiant one, who we know as Joshua, Esu Emmanuel. But yeah, that's a good question. All right, guys, 4 more minutes, and then I got to go take my dog potty. Julie Lynn says, Bauman says, take your dog potty. I will in about 3 more minutes. 2 more minutes, 2 more minutes, 2 more minutes. Dimensional Legend says, we will become very rich through the centuries to live very long. Absolutely. Jesse Dreas is saying, love is best. Thank you, brother. Jimmy W. Thank you, Ishmael. Melissa Knight, energies are so intense lately. Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. Some of you might even feel tired throughout the middle of the day and just want to nap all day. Some of you might even wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and can't go back to sleep for an hour or two, right? Ascension symptoms. I am officially a virgin again, I think, says Mathis Chronicles. All right. Good to know. Teresa Holmes, thank you so much for being here. Truth forever. Can't wait, she says. Christopher Wilk. Another great transmission. Thank you, Ishmael. You're welcome, Christopher Wilk. You're welcome. You're welcome. Isis, thank you so much for being here. And for the crown, Again, guys, in this new era to come, we're all going to be kings and queens. Cosmic Fairy Witch, Ishmael, do NPCs have feelings? Absolutely not. They are like the Agent Smiths of the Matrix, right? They're literally the Agent Smiths of the Matrix, the background people. They don't feel. All they are is just vessels for Archon, negative entities to just possess and make our lives living hell. Let's see, anything else? Evil recites no loves, so I act accordingly, says Martin. Eon Lumen says crashed again. Neo, heaven on earth. All right, with that in mind, guys, may the God Force be with you. I love each and every single one of you. I will go live Monday at 6 p.m. with a white hat update as to why we're still winning, and we have already won. So I will see you guys Monday night at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern. May the God Force be with you all.